I always had a fascination with the macabre, the dark tales that lingered just beneath the surface of everyday life. It was an obsession that started when I was a child, sneaking peeks at my father's old horror novels, flipping through the pages filled with ghosts, monsters, and tales of places long forgotten. But nothing captivated me quite like the legend of Dudley Town, Connecticut, a place shrouded in mystery, steeped in darkness, and rumored to be cursed. The whispers about Dudley Town were enough to send shivers down my spine. I heard tales of suicides, disappearances, and something far worse lurking in the woods. It was a village that had become synonymous with misfortune, its history marred by tragedy. As I grew older, I found myself drawn to this cursed village, compelled to uncover its secrets. It was a chilly autumn evening when I finally decided to visit Dudley Town. The sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple. My friend Lisa, always up for an adventure, insisted on coming along. "You can't go alone," she said, her excitement mingling with concern. "What if you actually see something?" Armed with flashlights, a camera, and an insatiable curiosity, we set off into the fading light. The winding roads of Connecticut twisted and turned, leading us deeper into the woods. As we approached the area known as Dudley Town, a thick fog enveloped the trees, swallowing the last remnants of daylight. I felt a chill run down my spine, a warning, perhaps, of what was to come. We parked the car at a makeshift clearing and stepped out, the air heavy with the scent of damp earth and decaying leaves. The woods loomed around us, ancient trees casting long shadows that danced in the waning light. Lisa grabbed my arm, her eyes wide with a mixture of fear and thrill. "Are you sure we should be doing this?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "It's just an old ghost story," I reassured her, though my own heart raced. "Besides, we'll be fine as long as we stick together." With that, we ventured deeper into the forest, the sound of our footsteps muffled by the thick carpet of leaves. As we walked, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The air grew colder, and a heavy silence settled around us, broken only by the occasional rustle of leaves or distant animal call. After what felt like hours, we finally stumbled upon the remnants of Dudley Town. The overgrown pathways were barely visible, swallowed by the encroaching wilderness. Crumbling stone foundations and rotting wooden beams were all that remained of what was once a thriving community. The village had been abandoned for over a century, but it felt as if time had stopped the moment the last resident had left. "Look at this place," Lisa breathed, her voice filled with awe. "It's like something out of a horror movie." I took a deep breath, trying to suppress the unease that settled in my stomach. "Yeah, and it's said to be haunted," I replied, forcing a smile. "Let's explore." As we moved deeper into the village, I snapped pictures with my camera, capturing the eerie beauty of the decaying buildings. Each shot felt like a snapshot of a forgotten time, a glimpse into the lives that once inhabited this cursed place. The air grew thicker, as if the weight of the village's history pressed down upon us. It wasn't long before the sun disappeared entirely, leaving us in near-total darkness. We relied on our flashlights to navigate the twisted remains of the village, but the beams of light barely penetrated the oppressive shadows. The atmosphere felt charged, alive with something otherworldly. "Do you hear that?" Lisa whispered suddenly, her voice shaking. I paused, straining to listen. At first, I heard nothing but the rustle of leaves in the wind. But then, faintly, I caught the sound of whispers, a soft, almost melodic murmur that seemed to drift through the trees. "Maybe it's just the wind," I suggested, trying to sound braver than I felt. But deep down, I knew something was off. The whispers grew louder, coalescing into fragmented words that I couldn't quite understand. It felt as if the very spirit of Dudley Town was alive, beckoning us closer, urging us to uncover its dark secrets. "Let's go check it out," Lisa said, her eyes shining with both fear and excitement. I hesitated, my instincts screaming for us to leave. But the allure of the unknown was too strong. We followed the sound, our flashlights flickering as we ventured further into the heart of the village. The whispers led us to what remained of the town square. A large, gnarled tree stood at its center, twisted and ancient, its branches reaching out like skeletal fingers. Beneath it lay a crumbling stone well, half hidden by underbrush. The whispers seemed to emanate from the well, echoing off the stone walls, calling out to us. "Should we look?" Lisa asked, glancing between the well and me, uncertainty etched on her face. I swallowed hard, staring into the darkness. Maybe we should just... Before I could finish, Lisa stepped closer to the well, peering into the abyss. "I can't see anything. Can you?" "No, and I don't want to," I replied, an inexplicable fear gripping my heart. But Lisa was already reaching for her flashlight, shining it down into the depths. The beam of light flickered against the wet stones, illuminating something at the bottom. A broken mirror, shards glinting like lost souls. In that moment, I felt a rush of nausea, an overwhelming sense of despair. It was as if the well held the memories of all the pain that had transpired in Dudley Town. Suddenly, a chilling wind swept through the square, and the whispers intensified, morphing into anguished cries. "Help us! Help us!" I grabbed Lisa's arm, panic surging through me. "We need to leave. Now." But as I turned to pull her away, the ground trembled beneath us, and the whispers grew louder, drowning out my thoughts. Shadows danced around us, dark figures emerging from the periphery of our lights, twisting and contorting into grotesque shapes. "Stay with me," I shouted, fear gripping my throat as I felt the pull of something dark and malevolent. We stumbled backward, the whispers morphing into frantic cries. "Leave! Leave now! You don't belong here!" With every step back, the shadows seemed to reach out for us, grasping at our clothes, clawing at our skin. I felt as if I were losing myself, becoming one with the shadows that haunted this forsaken place. "Run!" I screamed, and we turned, sprinting back the way we came. The darkness seemed to close in around us, the whispers following, echoing in our ears, clawing at our sanity. As we tore through the village, I caught glimpses of what lay around us. Half-burned houses, rotting walls, and the ethereal shapes of those who had once lived here. Their faces were contorted in agony, mouths open in silent screams. The village wasn't just cursed. It was alive with the pain of its history. "Where are we going?" Lisa gasped, her breath ragged. "I don't know. Just keep running." We fled into the woods, the trees closing in around us like a shroud. The whispers faded slightly, but I could still feel them lurking, waiting for us to let our guard down. Adrenaline surged through my veins as we sprinted, limbs aching, hearts pounding. Finally, we reached the clearing where we had parked the car. But as I fumbled for the keys, I felt a cold dread settle over me. "Where are the keys?" I muttered, patting my pockets frantically. "What do you mean?" Lisa shouted, panic creeping into her voice. "I swear I had them," I exclaimed, turning back to the car. It was just as I left it, but it felt wrong, like a trap waiting to spring. The darkness loomed behind us, and the whispers were growing louder, more insistent. Just hurry," Lisa urged, her eyes wide with fear. Suddenly, a figure emerged from the shadows, stepping into the beam of my flashlight. My heart dropped as I recognized the twisted form of a man, his face pale and gaunt, eyes hollowed and dark. The ghostly figure stood before us, his mouth twisted in a silent scream. "Get away," I shouted, stumbling backward as the man raised a skeletal hand, pointing directly at me. I felt the weight of his gaze, an unbearable pressure that pushed me to the ground. "You don't belong here," he mouthed, but no sound emerged. Instead, the whispers erupted into a cacophony of torment, drowning out my thoughts. "We need to get out of here," I screamed, grabbing Lisa's arm. I turned back to the car, desperate to find the keys and escape this nightmare. But the man began to advance toward us, gliding forward with an unnatural grace, his fingers stretching out as if to snatch us into the depths of his despair. "Go! Go!" I yelled, tugging Lisa along as I scrambled toward the driver's side. My fingers fumbled against the car door, and I felt a surge of panic as I pulled on the handle. It was locked. "Open the door," Lisa cried, her heart racing as she glanced over her shoulder. The figure was still advancing, and the whispers swirled around us like a storm. "I can't. The keys!" I shouted, practically throwing myself against the door in a frenzy. "Where are the damn keys?" Desperation clawed at me. The whispers became a shrill cacophony, the anguished voices of the damned flooding my mind. I could feel the shadows creeping closer, a tangible darkness pressing in on us. "Maybe they fell," Lisa urged, her voice trembling as she crouched to search the ground around the car. I turned my flashlight toward her, the beam shaking in my grip as I frantically scanned the area. The shadows danced, twisting and contorting, almost mocking our plight. "Find them," I commanded, my own panic rising as I felt the icy breath of the figure behind us. As Lisa searched, I dared to glance back at the man. His hollow eyes bore into mine, a chilling depth of sorrow and rage. He lifted his other hand, revealing something glinting in the moonlight. What appeared to be a railroad spike, blood-stained and rusted. "Run!" I yelled, fear propelling me into action. I yanked open the passenger door and practically threw Lisa inside, diving in after her. I slammed the door shut, locking it, as if it would protect us from the horrors outside. "Start the car," I urged, my heart pounding in my throat. Lisa fumbled with the ignition, hands shaking as she inserted the key. "It won't turn." "Just try again," I shouted, glancing out the window. The figure was gone, but I could still feel him lurking, his presence suffocating and dark. Finally, with a roar, the engine sputtered to life. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding and turned to Lisa. "Put it in drive." As she shifted gears, I looked back toward the village, the headlights illuminating the twisted remnants of Dudley Town. In that moment, I felt an inexplicable sorrow wash over me, a connection to the souls trapped within those shadows. "Go," I urged, and we lurched forward, the tires kicking up dirt as we sped away. The whispers faded as we put distance between ourselves and the village, but the chill remained in the air. I could still feel the weight of their gaze, the echo of their torment clawing at my mind. We drove in silence for what felt like hours, the landscape blurring past us, but my mind was still back in Dudley Town. The experience had shaken me to my core, leaving me with a lingering sense of dread. I wanted to shake it off, to laugh it away, but the memory of that figure haunted me. As we finally reached the main road, I took a deep breath, hoping that leaving would put the nightmare behind us. "Did that really just happen?" Lisa whispered, her voice shaky as she stared ahead. "I don't know," I replied, glancing at her, "but I don't think I want to go back there again." "I don't think anyone should go back," she said, her voice trembling. We finally arrived back at my apartment, the comforting glow of the lights seeming to shield us from the horrors of the night. As I stepped inside, I felt a sense of relief wash over me, but it was short-lived. The whispers lingered in my mind, echoing with the memories of what we had witnessed. It was as if Dudley Town had imprinted itself on my soul, a stain that could never be erased. That night, I tried to sleep, but the shadows in my room felt too familiar. I could still see the man's hollow eyes, hear the whispers that had called out for help. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, trying to forget, trying to escape the weight of the past. But as the hours passed, I realized I was not alone. The whispers returned, soft at first, but growing louder, filling the silence with their torment. "Help us! Help us!" In the days that followed, I found myself drawn to the legend of Dudley Town, digging deeper into its dark history. I scoured old newspapers, articles, and books, desperate to understand the village's curse and what had transpired there. The more I learned, the more the shadows of my experience crept into my mind. Founded in the 1700s, Dudley Town was home to the Dudley family, who had a reputation for misfortune. Rumors circulated that they were cursed by the very land they settled on. The villagers had suffered through untold tragedies, with a trail of deaths, suicides, and disappearances marking the village's history. As I delved deeper, I discovered that the well we had encountered was said to be a place of dark energy, a focal point for the spirits of those who had suffered. The whispers I had heard were the echoes of their pain, the cries of those who had never found peace. One night, I sat at my kitchen table, surrounded by the remnants of my research, when a thought struck me. What if the legend wasn't just a story? What if Dudley Town truly held the power to ensnare souls, binding them to its cursed grounds? I couldn't shake the feeling that I had to return. I had to confront whatever darkness lingered in that place, even if it meant facing the very spirit that haunted me. With trembling hands, I called Lisa. "We need to go back," I said, my voice steady despite the fear creeping in. "I have to understand. I have to find a way to help them." Lisa hesitated. "You really think it's a good idea? After everything?" "I know it sounds insane, but I can't ignore it. I feel like they're reaching out to me," I confessed, my heart pounding. "I have to try." Finally, she agreed, though I could hear the uncertainty in her voice. "Okay, but if anything feels wrong, we're leaving. No questions asked." That weekend, we returned to Dudley Town, the trees shrouded in mist as we parked the car in the same clearing. The air was thick with anticipation, and I could feel the weight of history pressing down on us as we stepped out. "Let's head to the well," I said, determination coursing through me. As we walked, the shadows seemed to thicken around us. The whispers returned, low and insistent, urging us onward. I clutched the flashlight tightly, the beam illuminating our path as we approached the village center. When we reached the well, I took a deep breath, peering into the darkness below. "I'm here," I called, my voice trembling but resolute. "I'm here to help." The wind picked up, rustling the leaves above us, and the whispers intensified, swirling around us like a storm. I felt a cold breeze brush against my skin, and I shivered as a sense of dread washed over me. "Please," I continued, "if there's anyone here, show yourself." For a moment, silence enveloped us, and I felt my heart race. Then, slowly, shadows began to form in the air above the well, coalescing into the shapes of anguished souls. Their faces were twisted in pain, eyes wide with desperation. "Help us!" they cried, their voices echoing through the darkness. "What do you need?" I asked, my voice breaking as the weight of their sorrow pressed down on me. "The curse! Break the curse!" one of the spirits whispered, her voice a chilling wail. "How?" I pressed, desperation clawing at my throat. "What do I need to do?" The spirits swirled around me, their faces a mix of terror and longing. Free us, free us." With newfound determination, I researched old rituals meant to free trapped souls. I discovered that the well held a dark energy, a focal point for the spirits' suffering. It was said that by honoring their memory and recognizing their pain, one could break the curse that bound them. I gathered supplies, candles, salt, and offerings of flowers, a way to pay tribute to those who had suffered in Dudley Town. With Lisa by my side, I returned to the well under the light of the full moon, the atmosphere charged with anticipation. As we set up the ritual, I could feel the weight of the spirits pressing around us, their presence palpable. I lit the candles, the flickering flames casting eerie shadows against the stone. "Tonight, we honor you," I spoke, my voice steady. "We remember your pain and your suffering. We ask for your forgiveness and your guidance." As the candles flickered, the whispers grew louder, swirling around us in a haunting melody. I could see the shapes of the spirits forming once again, their faces softening as they hovered closer. "Please, help us find peace," I urged, my heart racing as I poured my soul into the words. The air grew thick, and I felt a sudden rush of cold wind, extinguishing the candles in an instant. Darkness enveloped us, but the whispers transformed into a harmonious chorus, filled with longing and hope. "Free us," they cried, echoing through the night. In that moment, I realized I had to confront the darkness at the heart of Dudley Town, the curse that bound the souls to this place. I had to face the very heart of the village's suffering. With renewed determination, I steadied my breathing and focused on the shadows swirling around us. "I know you've suffered," I said, my voice firm yet compassionate. "You've been trapped in this cycle of pain for far too long. Let me help you find peace." The shadows seemed to hesitate, coalescing into a figure that stood before us. It was the same man I had seen the night we fled. His skeletal form, his hollow eyes now shimmering with an ethereal light. "You seek to break the curse?" he whispered, his voice raspy yet filled with an ancient sorrow. "Yes," I replied, my heart pounding. "Tell me how. What do you need from me?" "The darkness here feeds on fear and despair," he continued, his voice echoing like a distant memory. "You must confront it, face the truth of what happened in Dudley Town. Only then can we be free." "What truth?" I asked, feeling a mix of fear and curiosity. He gestured toward the well, his hand trembling. "The well holds the memories of our pain, the regrets and tragedies that bind us. You must face the truth of the past to release us from its grasp." I felt a chill run down my spine. The well was not just a place of darkness. It was a reservoir of their anguish, a reminder of the lives lost and the pain endured. I vowed, though fear twisted in my gut. "I will face it, but I need your guidance." The spirits surged closer, their forms shimmering as if they were gathering strength. "Speak our names, remember us. Let the world know our stories. Only then can you cleanse this place of its curse." "Okay," I whispered, my heart racing. "I'll do it." We began to set up a circle around the well with the remaining candles, an offering to honor the souls. Lisa joined me, her eyes wide with both fear and resolve. I could sense the energy shifting, the air growing thick with anticipation. As we lit the candles again, I took a deep breath and focused on the spirits. "I want to hear your stories," I said, my voice steady. "I want to remember you." One by one, the whispers grew clearer, each voice intertwining with the others, forming a haunting melody of sorrow and longing. "Margaret," a soft voice called. "I was taken too soon. My dreams were crushed in the flames." "Thomas," another voice whispered. "I lost everything in that storm. My family, my love all gone. Please, remember us," cried a chorus of voices, the urgency palpable in the night air. As their stories filled the clearing, I felt a deep sadness wash over me. I understood now that each spirit had a story, lives full of hope and tragedy, dreams interrupted by the weight of the curse. "Margaret," I spoke softly, feeling the warmth of her spirit near me. "I hear you. Your dreams matter. You are remembered." With every name I spoke, the spirits glowed brighter, their forms becoming more defined as the weight of their sorrow began to lift. I felt a connection to each one of them, their pain echoing through me like a haunting lullaby. The shadows around the well began to shift, swirling in a chaotic dance. "Yes, remember us. Free us." As the voices crescendoed, I could feel the dark energy coalescing at the well's edge. It was as if the very essence of the curse was being drawn to me, a vortex of fear and despair that threatened to swallow us whole. "Face it," the man urged, his form flickering with intensity. "You must confront the darkness. Do not let it consume you." The shadows thickened, twisting into monstrous shapes that loomed over us, their eyes burning with malice. They hissed and shrieked, their voices a cacophony of pain and rage. "Leave this place. You don't belong here." I stood firm, my heart racing, feeling the weight of the spirits around me, urging me forward. "I will not leave. I will not abandon you." With every ounce of courage I could muster, I stepped closer to the well, staring into the abyss. The darkness surged, whispering my deepest fears, dredging up memories I had long buried. I felt the pull of despair, the urge to run, but I stood my ground. "Your pain does not define you," I shouted, the words tearing from my throat like a battle cry. "You are not alone. I will remember you." In that moment, the shadows shrieked, their forms writhing in agony. I reached out, my hand hovering over the well, the energy swirling around me. "I embrace your pain. I honor your stories." The ground trembled beneath me, and the whispers turned into a deafening roar. The air crackled with energy, and I felt the spirits gathering strength around me. "Yes, release us. Free us." As the shadows lunged at me, I closed my eyes and embraced the storm of darkness. "I set you free," I screamed, pouring every ounce of love, and compassion I had into my words. Suddenly, the darkness exploded outward, the shadows dissipating into wisps of smoke that floated away on the wind. The anguished cries faded, replaced by a profound silence. I opened my eyes to find the well shimmering with light, the oppressive energy lifting like a weight off my shoulders. The spirits gathered around me, their forms glowing with a radiant light. "Thank you," the man whispered, his voice now filled with peace. "You have broken the curse." Tears streamed down my cheeks as I felt the warmth of their gratitude enveloping me. "You are free," I whispered, overwhelmed by the love and light that filled the air. The figures began to fade, their faces serene and at peace. "Remember us," they echoed, their voices a soft whisper on the breeze. As dawn broke over the horizon, a soft light began to illuminate the forest. The shadows of Dudley Town were still there, but they no longer felt threatening. Instead, they felt like remnants of a history that was finally healing. With Lisa by my side, I watched as the last of the spirits faded into the light, the sense of completion settling over me. "We did it," I whispered, my heart swelling with emotion. "Yes, we did," Lisa replied, her voice thick with tears. As we turned to leave Dudley Town behind, I knew the village would never truly be forgotten. Its stories would live on, echoing through the whispers of the wind and the rustling of the leaves. I had entered Dudley Town seeking answers, but what I found was a deeper understanding of love, loss, and the power of remembrance. The curse had been broken, but the memories would remain, a testament to the lives once lived and the spirits finally free. Months passed since that fateful night, and the experiences in Dudley Town lingered in my mind. I had taken to sharing the stories of those lost souls, using my platform to spread awareness of the village's haunted history. Each name I spoke, each tale I told, brought me a sense of fulfillment. I felt as though I was giving voice to the voiceless, honoring the memories of those who had suffered in silence for too long. Lisa and I returned to Dudley Town often, not to confront darkness, but to celebrate life. We laid flowers at the well, lighting candles to honor the spirits, ensuring they were never forgotten. And though the whispers no longer haunted me, I often felt their presence in the wind, a gentle reminder that the past is never truly gone. It lives on in our hearts, in our memories, and in the stories we share. As I stood at the well one crisp autumn evening, I smiled, knowing the curse had been broken. Dudley Town was no longer the village of the damned. It had become a sacred space, a place of healing, of remembrance, and of love. And for the first time, I felt hope blooming in the darkness, a promise that even the most haunted places can find light.